Hi, everyone. I am Shannon Schroeder, F-Bomb coach, and today I want to talk to you about authentic authority in terms of disrupting the default. So picture this, you're about to publish a piece of content and that nasty little voice in your head whispers, "Who am I to talk about this?" Today, we're going to dismantle the performance game that's keeping you hidden and give you a framework to accept your brain and how it functions so that you can build real authority. The default says you need to perform, be consistent, and hide your process. And we're about to flip that script. Traditional business advice says you show up consistently, be professional, fake it till you make it. But for many of you, what nobody ever tells you is that when you're masking who you are and how your brain works, you're literally performing someone else's version of success. And that feeds into the imposter syndrome that you live with because you do feel like you're faking it. What does this look like in your business? This is when you are using rigid systems that don't work for your brain. You hide your real process and only show the polished results because then people think that you're doing it the same way everybody else does. You apologize for being different. Sorry this took so long, or sorry my message was really long. You exhaust yourself trying to appear professional, whatever that seems to be in your head, whatever other people project professional to be. And that traps you in this vicious cycle. You feel like an imposter because you're performing. You're playing a character instead of being the expert you actually are. When you look at this, this vicious cycle that you can get stuck in, you're masking, you're portraying what you think other people want to see. And because of that mask, then you start feeling inauthentic because you know you're playing this role. And that heightens your imposter syndrome and that nasty little voice who says, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're a fraud. They're all going to see that you're a fraud." So then you mask harder to make it seem like you're like everybody else. And that cycle just keeps going and keep going. It's okay to be who you are. Who you are and feeding into and honoring your brain and how your brain works will actually help you be more successful. And you shouldn't have to hide that. For me, when you talk about someone who is, like show up consistently, and that most people think consistently means every day, I hyper focus and batch all of my content. It might appear that I'm showing up consistently because there's a YouTube short that gets scheduled and it goes live every day. I'm not showing up every day to do that. I'm doing 60 videos in a day or two, and then I'm sending it out. I don't hide that process. I talk about batching all the time because my audience needs to hear that you work when you have the energy. So you don't have to, your consistent doesn't have to look like everybody else's consistent. Your discipline doesn't have to look like everybody else's discipline. What's the real cost of all of this masking? That pretending to be something that you're not. First and foremost, it's the energy depletion. You are exhausted at the end of the day. It's not just that you got through your to-do list and everybody, no, you have this extra layer of exhaustion because on top of the work you are doing, you are covering up your real self. Your real strengths stay hidden. People don't know those strengths that you aren't showing them. And you're trying to fix yourself, right? That's the problem that you see. You're trying to fix yourself instead of building on those strengths. If you have a neurodivergent brain, you have a different way of approaching things. You think outside the box all the time, and that is a brilliant thing. And you shouldn't need to hide that. You shouldn't try to hide that because that's what makes you stand out in a very crowded market. So now we're going to talk about shifting how we view these things. Having authority isn't about being perfect. It isn't about showing up every day consistently. It's about being a trusted guide based on your experience, your knowledge, what you are bringing to the table, and your different perspective is a competitive advantage. So shift one, from hiding to revealing. Instead of staging a perfect screenshot of your workspace, show the actual color-coded chaos of your Notion board. Instead of pretending the project took 2 hours, admit that it took 3 weeks because your brain needed that extra processing time. And that's why your solution is more thorough. When we shift from what we're seeing and what we're showing people, we're allowing ourselves to be more authentic. We are disrupting what people think we should be. And instead of trying to hide that, if we are honoring that, we will be more successful and a whole lot less tired. Shift 2, from apologizing to advocating. Here's a quick list of common apologies. I'm sorry this took so long. Sorry for the long message. Sorry, I can only meet on Tuesdays. Every apology is chipping away at your authority. So I want you to reframe those apologies with this template. Here's how I work best. Whatever you need, and then this means, and then what is the benefit to your client or customer? We want you to be able to state what it is that you need. Don't hide it. You shouldn't have to work, 20 hours a day to make it look like everybody else. So instead of, sorry, I can only do calls on Tuesdays, I batch my client calls on Tuesdays. That's my accommodation. So I can give you my full energy and attention. That's how they benefit. Sorry, I went dark for 2 days. Turns into, I work in focused sprints, which means when I'm on your project, I'm all in. That means that they are getting all of you in that moment. Who wouldn't want that? Sorry for the long video instead of an email. I deliver async video feedback because I can give you more nuanced insights than I can in written notes. Your accommodations aren't weaknesses. They are your business strategy. They're going to help you be more productive, more efficient, and more effective in what you do. So I want to use a little metaphor of a car. Instead of thinking that you're driving a broken car that needs fixing, that's how you view your brain when you're stuck in imposter syndrome. You need to accept that you're driving a totally different vehicle that is built for this terrain. Stop apologizing for not being a minivan when you're a Jeep. Own being a Jeep. Use that Jeep. Don't try to fix it and turn it into a minivan. Shift number 3, the comparison trap. The comparison trap really, really, really eats at a neurodivergent brain. It hits you really hard. And part of that is because oftentimes you are comparing your chapter 1 or 2 or 3 to somebody else's chapter 20. You don't see their journey. You just look at where they are and say, oh man, I'm supposed to be that. You compare the social media highlight reels to what you know your chaos is. Again, you don't see their behind the scenes. You're seeing that highlight reel and it makes it look like everything for them is easy and perfect. So you need to take a step back and you need to create an evidence file of your own. Redefine what you count as a win, and every single one of those wins goes into your evidence folder. A traditional milestone might be, I posted every day this week, but your milestone might be, I solved a client problem in a way nobody else thought of. A traditional milestone might be, I have 10,000 followers. Yours might be, I helped 50 people with breakthrough moments. So don't get stuck on specific numbers. Don't get stuck on comparing yourself to other people. Start thinking about what is a win for you. All of those client results, the testimonials, problems that you have solved, moments that you helped someone because you are different, that goes in your evidence folder. And that evidence folder is the voice that is going to help you beat down that imposter syndrome every time it pops up. When that nasty little voice comes in, you need to shift it. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you may hear that little voice telling you, who am I to teach this? Everyone else does it easier. If they knew how long this actually took me, someone more qualified should be doing this. Those are all those nasty little stories that your brain is telling you. So now you need to reframe it. And it's a 3-question reframe. First, what's the evidence? Remember that evidence folder I told you need to build? This is why. Have people paid you for your expertise? Have you gotten results? What unique insights have you provided for your people? That's your evidence. Question number 2, what am I bringing that others aren't? Your unconventional path gives you a unique perspective. You understand the struggles that your audience faces, and your solutions account for different people, different brain types, different approaches. And then the last question, what would I tell a friend? If someone came to you and they have similar expertise, similar credentials, and they came to you talking about themselves the way you talk about yourself, would you say, yeah, girl, maybe this isn't for you? You would not. You wouldn't tell them that they're not qualified. You would be her biggest cheerleader. You would point out all of the things that she has done right. You need to apply that same compassion to yourself. So what does this reframe look like? Who am I to teach this becomes I've solved this in ways other haven't, which means that I can help people who think like me. Everyone else makes it look easy. I have the courage to show the real process, which builds deeper trust. You know that most people are looking at those highlight reels and we may enjoy them passing, but we don't buy it. We don't really believe that everybody's lives look like that. This took me too long becomes I'm thorough. My process creates quality results. All of the things that you view as negatives for how you work can be flipped into positives. So here are your action steps for this week. 2 steps. 1, the reveal practice. Choose one place where you're currently masking or performing. I want you to share one behind the scenes element that you normally would hide. It could be your actual process, a tool you use, how long something really took, some accommodation that helps you. Doesn't matter what the format is, social media post, an email to your list, a conversation with a client. Reflect on what am I currently apologizing for that's actually a strength. And this is scary, and I know it's hard to put yourself out there, but every time you reveal instead of hide, you're weakening that imposter syndrome grip, right? We want to be able to step out from behind imposter syndrome and own who we are. And that starts with revealing who you are. So you can start small. It could be a conversation with someone where you say, well, this is actually what I did. Action step 2, and this one is super, super, super important, like the most important. Start your evidence folder. I don't care what it looks like, a notebook, an actual paper folder, a place on your Google Drive, a Notion template, wherever, voice memos, whatever works for you. You need to start capturing every single client win and testimonial, every problem that you've solved, compliments or feedback that you normally dismiss, the DMs, the comments on posts, all of it. And then every time imposter syndrome shows up, open your evidence folder first. Before you spiral, before you listen to that nasty voice, before you start believing the stories that your brain is telling you, you open up that evidence folder and you look at all of the things you've done right. Add to this folder weekly, even tiny wins, no matter how little they are. Add it to the evidence folder. This matters because your brain needs the concrete evidence that you're not making it up, that you're not really a fraud. This is proof that you're not a fraud. This is proof that you know what you're doing. This is proof that you should own who you are. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that you have found some strategies that will help you when that nasty little imposter syndrome voice pops up. If you have found this helpful, you might want to consider joining my membership. You get access to all of my courses on executive function skills, as well as business trainings to help you run your business a little bit more smoothly. You can check out my blog or my free Facebook group. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll be around if you have any questions.